for coming online and today sharing this time with us. Our today's topic is to discuss about the significance of Indian temple designs, uh, the mythological perspective of this, archaeological perspective of this, and also the perspective of an archaeological healer. How these temples were actually used to heal people in the ancient time, and what were the core purposes they were designed for, and then how far we have come. How far we have come in terms of distancing ourselves from the core purpose of those temples. So maybe you want to elaborate your thoughts on that.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me to this live chat. Before we dive into this discussion, I would like to actually thank and honor our ancestors, because without them, we are nothing. So let's begin our journey with their blessings first. So the overall perspective of the temples in the ancient days, it was built by the kings and the queens, right?
Okay.
They always built it in reverence to the ancestor that they were believing in, right? In their faith. They were either believing in Shiva or Durga or Vishnu and all the different goddesses, right? So every temple have different deities consecrated within the Garbha Griha or the sanctum, right? So naturally, the temples in those days were not just used for healing, but there were many benefits of the temple being built, right?
Okay.
Both from a healing and as well as from a social perspective as well, because that is the place of gathering of all the people in the community. They would come, they would have social, events. They will have some rituals. They will also have, people healing the individuals as well. And they will also use this place for meditation. In some of the temples that when we visit, we do see a lot of people actually, do sit down and do meditation. But somehow in some of the more protected temples, it's very difficult to find a space within the sanctum, right? So you have to do your meditation outside of the sanctum area.
Okay.
But it's always preferred that you do your meditation inside, because that's where you can receive all your energy, the source energy that comes directly from the sanctum. We will discuss about the way the design is done later. But overall, when we are in a sitting position, right, when we fold our legs, we do look a little like a pyramid shape, right? When I talk about, I'm not talking about, doesn't have to be a yoga position, but I'm talking about a general sitting position without legs folded.
Okay.
Generally looking like a pyramid shape. So that's where the energy flows from the bottom to the top, right? When we do the meditation. And when you enter into the temple premises, generally it's advisable that you actually go with the intent. And even sometimes if you go without the intent, you come back with the answer, right? We always go there because we want to answer from certain problems or issues that people are facing.
Yeah.
But in general, people also go there regularly just for a prayer. But when you go with the intention, you do see the results automatically.
Okay.
If you set the intention correctly with your questions and what you're expecting to see, because you're already manifesting that thought to the source, and therefore the source will respond to you in that manner. And healing is not an automatic process. It is a gradual process. But there are certain temples that do heal people immediately, right?
Okay.
We do carry a lot of negativity because of, the words that are spoken by people and ourselves. Always have to be in a positive manner. But if we constantly speak in a negative manner, it will always invoke negative energy. And besides this, there's always other realms that we don't see with our regular eyes, but people with, additional qualities based on their meditation status, they will be able to, kind of see these things. And you could also feel these energies, so we call them negative forces, negative energies, right? It comes and attached to you without you knowing. And it causes a change in your behavior, right? Without you realizing that you are becoming somebody else. And this is why, based on my knowledge and my research that I've also done, and also from reading, a lot of ancient text, we should never leave our body to do any kind of astral travel. I know there's the new age concept, talks a lot about astral travel.
Mhm.
We don't need to leave our body to do astral travel, right? Because when you leave your body, another soul can occupy the body. I'll give you an example. Tirumular, that's the name of the sage from the southern India. He actually decides to take up the body of a shepherd because he wants to help the family, and the community where the husband actually dies, and he takes the body of that husband.
Okay.
And he wants to, bring back all these, he was a shepherd, this individual. So when he took back all the, animals back to their home, and also to protect the family. So when he came back to his own body, he could not find his body there. So it is a divine play by Shiva, definitely, because he was a devotee of Shiva. So when he had the vision from Shiva saying that, you continue to be this individual because you need to continue to spread the news and, help the community over there. So he continued in that body. So his body was no longer found, right? So that's why my great advice is not to leave our body, because there's always potential for negative energies to come in and take in another different form and shape without us realizing, and then causing a lot of negativity among the family members, siblings, your friends, and etc. So this is one great advice that I would tell people to look into it. There's a lot of information out there on astral travel, that you can just leave your body and just go out and, go into the past and into your future. But all that you can do just by meditating. You don't have to leave your body, right? You just have to consider.
Are you like suggesting that meditation was the core purpose or prime reason to behind the designs of these hypnotic side of sizes of temples and the specific design structure they have?
Yeah, the design itself has there are. If you have read Aindiram is a concept talking about the 5 elements of the nature. That is the water, the earth, fire, and the wind, and the space. The space is where we create, basically. And this is also what the Chidambaram Rahasyam talks about, or this mystery of Chidambaram.
Okay.
Is the 5th element, right? Which you cannot see, which is formless, right? We put in the murti because it becomes a form for us to understand that this is so and so ancestor of ours, right? Whether it's Vishnu, Durga, Shiva, and many other forms that we see in the sanctum, right? Meditation isn't only the form why the temple is created. Like I mentioned, it's a social economy status where people come and gather. They have a lot of events, whether it's a celebration, whether it's sadness, whether it is, doing rituals, etc. Everything is done in the temple, right?
Okay.
But of course, only the good ones are done. We don't bring in dead bodies into the temple, as you know that in the Hindu practice, we take that to the different space. But coming back to why temples were used to heal, there are three major categories, right? I'm sure you would have heard of Nikola Tesla, but then, all these concepts belong to our Hinduism, right? The vibration, the energy, and the frequency. When you do your meditation, initially when you start off with your meditation, your head will always goes up because you get pulled up to the source energy. So with the vibration, we actually start to ascend to higher realm, right? The second one is the energy. We are all energy. We are all made of energy.
Right.
So that's who we are, right? And frequency is in the temple, when the mantra is recited, we feel that vibration, right? We feel that positivity coming back to us. That's why the mantra is recited in the temple. And besides mantra, there are also, songs that is sung, that is sung in the temple, which is in the southern temple, we call it Devaram. This is created by or written by the poets.
You mean the Aarti that we call in North Indian temples? Aarti?
Arti.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Arti is when you're doing the final stage of the prayer to the Murti, right? Mantra is you would recite before doing the Arti, there are different type of mantras that is recited. And then even when you go in and say, okay, I want to do an offering to the God, either you might bring in flowers or sari or dhotis, for the God and goddesses. They take your name, your nakshatra, yeah, and then they go in and do the prayer on your behalf. They also recite the mantra there on your behalf, right? This is only in the temple, but when you are doing it in your home, you can do your own, you can, recite your own mantra at home as well. It takes you back into your state of consciousness, basically. Consciousness means awareness, right? So when we go back out of the temple, we become more conscious or aware. But we have to continue this journey even when we come out of the temple, but we don't, right? So sometimes that's why we lose that connectivity. Temple is a great place for us to tap into that positive energy. The way the temple is designed is very pyramidical, right? It's pyramid shape mostly. The way it's structured, the energy comes in through the sanctum into the murti, and then it reflects back at us, right? In the south, if you have seen those gopuram, there are 9 kalasham that is arranged at the top of the gopuram. The 9 kalasham actually also acts as a conductor, between the lightning that gets charged to the sanctum as well, right? And this 9 kalasham contains natural grains. There are 9, we call it the 9 navadanyams. And these navadanyams are also used in a lot of the Indian practice in rituals. When before the bride gets married, they create a foundation in the home. And these navadanyams are also inserted into the ground to create that foundation, to say that this is going to last for a long time. I'm sure it's also there in the north, but in the south, this is done 3 or 4 days or a week before the actual wedding. And this is a must, They do, it is basically to cleanse and purify the bride, right? They apply turmeric on the face and the body, and then they go through the bathing process, etc. So it is a cleansing process. So when we enter the temple, it's similar. We go through the cleansing process. So when we come up, when we come out of the temple, we are also cleansed with that positive energy. And then when we continue going back into our daily life, we need to apply these principles again to continue the meditation on our daily practice so that we can continue to receive this consciousness and awareness. And that helps us to, connect with your ancestors, which is basically our God, goddesses in different form. And each of these God,
Yeah, when you were describing this, I can recall this is actually called mandap in our Indian wedding, and
Yes,
primarily it was used to design with the banana trunk, and
correct.
certainly you're right. It is used to set up some 5 to 7 days before the actual marriage happens. Correct.
Yes, yes. Some houses they do 3 days, some do 5, 7. It's an odd
So is it
or
a positive energy
generally
attraction mechanism, or it's like what it is?
it's a cleansing process. It's a cleansing process. We purify through that process. So in a way, we are recharging our body with that process,
When
and then
it,
preparing ourselves as a bride and a bridegroom. Both bride and bridegroom will go through this whole process. So when we go in, if there is any negativity also, it can be removed automatically by the goddesses that is, representing themselves at the sanctum. So I visited not recently, but a year or two back, I went to Chotani temple, Chotani Bhagavati Amman temple in Kerala. This temple is known for removing negativity on any individuals. So as I was praying, I noticed there's this individual girl and another young gentleman. They were both together. And during this heavy prayer that was going on, I noticed that this girl started to faint out. And I noticed that something was leaving her. So I realized that, this thing is happening to her physically. So she just fainted. And this temple is very known for this purposes. So we don't really have to go to an astrologer to get these things done, because they generally charge an amount and say, okay, you do this puja, you do this, and you do that, your negativity goes away. It's because your house, you are not, your house is not in the correct order, and that's why you have to do all these things. But to me, what I have learned, we don't need that actually. If we believe in our ancestors, they can remove it for us directly. And we have to go with that intention also sometimes, because otherwise we are not setting, we are not setting the intention of what we are going for to the temple, right? The other example that I'll give you is from my own experience is when I was in Kasar Devi temple in Almora.
okay.
I've also published an article on that. That's where I experienced, certain negativity also leaving me. How I noticed that there was this little, experience coming out from here. I could feel that energy, because the energy was looking very dark, black kind of thing. It was like a ball of thing that was coming out, and it just snapped. Of course, I had to rest that day, and then I went to the temple again in the evening, and I was fine. I didn't feel anything else, but I felt like something, left me, right? We don't realize when, because there'll be a lot of, we call it evil eye. I don't know if it's the right term, but there are sometimes people do black magic on you. There are cases, I mean, this exists, right? This black magic exists in certain cities, certain states, even in urban areas also exists, right? So you can get it removed by just going to these potent temples that exist, that can actually do this automatically for you. You will feel it, but you have to trust, you have to surrender yourself to that goddesses to do the workings within you, right? If you don't trust, then they will also not take intervention into your life. You have to trust them, you have to surrender, then they will come and do those things for you, right? Some people do not have such belief and trust, so they will not do it, right? Yeah, so you have to kind of create a faith in yourself to believe in these things, that it does exist before, and it has existed, and it can be done freely.
When it comes to black magic thing, were the same places being used for both of the purposes?
No, the black magic is not practiced in the temple. It is definitely outside of the temple, right?
Okay.
But
No,
the
I mean
actual,
historically, anciently.
historically, it is also done outside.
Okay.
Black magic can never enter the temple. Magic as in like, okay, they don't, for example, they don't want Gaurav to be successful, right? Or they don't want Gaurav to be happy with his lifestyle,
Okay.
right? They do that. There are people who exist like that, right? If you take, I think, you always have to have a good thoughts, good deeds, and good work, and leave behind all the bad things, right? We don't focus on bad things or bad thoughts or doing bad things to your friends or to your family. We should always think of doing good things. It's like perfecting ourselves in the form of the goddesses, right? How they became goddesses, because they also would have gone through this process of cleansing, purification, and becoming perfect in who they are today, right? We can also perfect ourselves in that way. So we can go through this process of cleansing, purification, and then achieving all of these. And it's not only achieving spirituality, it's also achieving from a physical matter perspective as well. Okay. Black magic is always external. It doesn't happen in the temple, but you can actually get rid of it when you enter the temple.
Right.
Temple is used for prayers generally, is used for prayers and for events and social, celebrations, etc. Including marriage, right? Marriage also happens in the temple in those days. There are two temples in Chennai, basically. One is Kabalishwara temple, which is dedicated to Shiva. The other one is Partha Sarthi temple in Chennai. And this is dedicated to Vishnu. They both have significant energies, Kabalishwara temple, it is following the 5 element concept, because they do have a single tank with a pond, we call it a pond in the middle. Yeah. And in those days, those ponds were used for healing. But today, there is restriction. All these places are cordoned from us. We can't enter the pond, right? It is only used for floating festivals to bring the goddesses around this pond, right? Otherwise, in those days, these water bodies were used for healing as well. People go in and take a bath and feel refreshed before going to the temple, right? It's also a cleansing process. Today, if you go to Rishikesh, you go to Ganga river and cleanse yourself before you go to any temple, right?
Right.
Likewise, in other places, you have these Prayagraj, right? You can go to Prayagraj and do the same thing. But most of the temples today, they have cordoned this pond, so you can't really enter and do any kind of healing process there, right? They do have vibration because of the way the temple is built, because of the 5 nature elements that comes together. It brings balance and harmony into your body and soul. So automatically your whole body and soul gets, cleansed and purified in that process, right? And then you go very fresh to the sanctum. But we don't have that facility today, right?
Right.
There is a temple in Cambodia. It's called the Nippon. It is built very similar to the Indian temples in India, having the pond, in the middle, and there is a tank in the middle. It is very much very similar to the Hindu temples in India. And they do also follow the all 5 elements process, which is, documented in Aindiram concept. Aindiram was written by a sage called Mamuni Mayan. Okay, can you look him up? And the concept talks about how these fire elements are used from a astronomical perspective and geometrical perspective. And this is how they can, read the sun, the moon, the planets, and align them according to the celestial events that we see today. And you see those in some of the temples, you can see their reflection on the pond, exactly a replica of how they look in the physical form. So that accuracy is there in the way the temples are built in those days. Let me take you to example in Cambodia. There is a temple called Thap Prom. It is a very beautiful temple, blending of history and art.
Okay.
And in that temple, you can see a art craft or a wall with the sight of a sage or sages undergoing transformation. Because in that sculpture, you can see actually some additional legs and hands. So it is truly showing that, they are undergoing some form of transformation when they are actually doing their meditation. And when you walk through the temple as well, you will see and feel the vibration is actually of a specific frequency as well. So when you enter any temple, even in India, when you enter any temple, you will feel that. But you have to connect with that energy at that point in time. Instead of just focusing, going in, praying, coming out, we should basically be conscious and aware of our surrounding, and then open ourselves to that extraordinary energy that is out there. So Taprom is one great example. And another one was the Priya Khan temple. Here also you can see, sculptures of all the sages. It is a temple, full of culture, spirituality, and knowledge. And this temple is actually linked to the Nippon, which I discussed earlier, where they have, it is a temple that was believed to hold some powers to heal the sick people. Because besides the Nippon temple, there was a separate place for, people to come in and check in on their sickness and illnesses, etc.
Okay.
And in Priya Khan itself, there were carvings of the sages in deep meditation, and it shows how they were transforming. And in the sculpture, it shows multiple limbs, right? Symbolizing that they are going through some divine energy transmutation, in terms of time and space. And there was another sculpture which shows that they were transforming from a human, showing them, depicting them as dragonflies. Dragonflies is a transmutation, showing that they have gone through that, transformation gracefully, showing their, they have achieved that transformation and becoming enlightened through that process. And, you can actually see another sculpture where a sage is sitting underneath there is an arch of fire, symbolizing that he's receiving some sort of a reception of divine enlightenment, which is, very similar to the aura surrounding the Tillai Nadraj temple, or a Tillai Nadraj form of dancing Shiva, right? So you can see these sculptures, and you can know that these temples were generally used as a healing place or space, and it was a tradition in those days as well. Today in our
one question was coming to my mind is, when the temples were designed so, immersively for, people to get immersed into when they are coming for the meditative practices, why it is so that we always find that, the sages, even, ancient sages were actually used to go to jungles and deep, for the deep meditations. What is the purpose behind leaving the temples and not practicing the temples and then going to maybe mountains, maybe jungles, to, do the deep meditation practices?
Yes, we do have meditation in the besides temple, people, there were sages and siddhars, and today we in the north you call them agoris as well. They all sit in the caves, right? Caves is another place where you can actually also do your meditation because it's a sacred space. And the cave also has the natural elements around it. So you can go through the same transformation when you are in the sitting in a cave and doing chanting or meditation, etc. You can get transformed in that space as well. So it's not only the temple. You can also go to any part of the mountain. Himachal is a great place. Uttarakhand is a great place. These two places have, very far from, all these technology that we are clouded with here. So when you go there, you get natural air, natural energy. You are more connected over there. Even in the south, when you are in certain temples, like I mentioned, those two temples in Chennai, it's, you have to feel the vibration when you are there. Yeah.
Right.
It's not necessary, it has to be in a temple. You can do it in even in your own home. Once you identify a sacred space, I would call it sacred space because once you start meditating in that space, that space gets energized, So even if anybody comes to your home, people will be able to tell that your home is also charged up, That's the kind of energy that it will reflect. Because once you start meditating, you're connecting with the source energy, right? Your divine, basically, your higher self and your divine. So essentially your space, you can do it even at home, by just sitting in in your room, a corner of your room, or, any other space that you may find, not, there's no distraction to these spaces, right? Because once you get into a meditation, you should allow yourself to, be out of that mind zone completely. First, you have to arrest your mind.
Right.
Once your mind is arrested, it becomes zero completely. You're in that zero space, right? Once there's no noise anymore, you allow that other, purification and cleansing comes into that process. And that's how you heal your body and your soul, essentially. The reason why we're coming here is because we have to go through this whole process of purification, right? And then connecting back with our souls. In those days, I would say everybody had access to the temple, right? Even today, everybody has access, except some temples, they have restriction for foreigners. They can't allow foreigners into the temple. But generally, everyone can go to the temple. But there's always this priest concept has been brought into the perspective where, the priest will do the prayer and then we stand in front of the sanctum and receive the blessing, right? But from my perspective, we don't need an intermediary person because we can connect directly with the source, right? I hope I'm not hurting any sentiments here, but this is the reality. You can connect directly with the source, right? A priest is great when you want to do a certain ritual and you want to specifically consecrate certain, marriage or, certain rituals that you want to get done. But you can connect directly with them through your meditation, to your divine, right? So how this change is obviously, you can tell, it's become more commercialized today, right? As compared to those days. There's no commercialization in ancient days, but today it's fully commercialized. There's everything, there's a charge for everything, right? I'm sure there is no charges in those days, right? People can go and make a prayer and come back and do their meditation and come back. Today, everything you have to make a payment and, get through, and you don't even get a certain number of, even a few seconds to see at the sanctum. Like in Tirupati temple, it takes you hours of waiting hours to get the main sanctum. But when you are there, you don't get even few seconds to get your prayers done. So it's become that commercial. It's also because there's so many, the amount of people coming to that place. So, the crowd has to be managed as well. So we have to also appreciate that, how the crowd is being managed.
Right, right.
Yeah. But overall, if you ask me, it is, you can always go. Like, for example, when I went to the northern temples, most of the priests are not there, right? They would have done their prayers maybe early in the morning, like 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning, and they would have closed the gate. But you can still see the murti, but you may not be able to enter the sanctum as such, but you can still see the murti and still do your prayer. And you don't need to pay for anything. But whereas if you go to the southern temples, there's definitely a lot of payment to be done. Odisha also is in the similar manner, every prayer that you want to do, or certain prayers that you want to do, you have to make a payment to to get it done. If you go to the important temples, like the known restricted temples, you would find you have to leave your phone outside. You can't bring in the phones to the inside of the temple premises, right? And also they control, which gate you go through and which gate you come out through and all of that. So it is well organized, I would say. So it is helpful when there is crowd.
It's more of a management side nowadays. It's a more of a managing thing, managing the flow of people.
Yeah.
Do
But
you-
if you ask me,
yeah.
can I go to a temple and pray directly to my divine? Yes, there is no restriction. Religion is something that was introduced at a later age, right? But Sanatan Dharma has always been there, right?
Okay.
We can pray to any, god and goddesses that we believe in. And in those days, especially in the villages, they would pray to what we call Kuladeva, Kuladevi, right?
Right.
And it could be even a tree that they pray to. Or it could be Pulyar. Pulyar in those days is known as the elephant, right? And that's how the process of Pulyar concept came about. So Pulyar is basically Vinayagar or Ganesha, basically. So you can go through this process without having a priest in the middle. You can do your meditation, get connected to your divine, and go through your cleansing process. And how to go through this cleansing process? It is a few steps that you have to follow. When you're getting into a meditation, you have to make sure that you are doing your affirmations, sending out your positive thoughts. And before getting into the meditation also, just speak out all the things that you don't want with you anymore. For example, you want to forgive your people who have hurt you in the past. Forgiveness is the highest, highest of the order, I would say. Once you start forgiving people, you will see that a lot of things will change within you as well. And sometimes people also will go through a lot of dreams that are disturbing them. I don't call them, I don't concentrate on dreams, but I concentrate on vision. These are two different things that people will have to identify. What is a dream? What is a vision? A vision is something a god or goddesses may give it to you when you are in your sleeping state, right? Or in your awareness state as well. But a dream is sometimes your mind that has not been controlled, that takes you through a negative path, so you have to know the difference between these. So that's what I teach, on through the meditation process, as to how to curb or control these different aspects. because we need to identify these two very appropriately. Sometimes when you go to this mantra in YouTube, you see some of the individuals come there and say, oh, I had a dream and I was being chased by somebody or something. You see comments being put up by the audience. And
Right.
you see that, it is a negative, and they don't know what to do with it and how to get out of that as well. They don't realize how to come out of it. So, mantra is a great way to, to start with in terms of, charging yourself. But at the same time, the meditation also helps you to start becoming aware or conscious of what is bad dreams versus what is good vision, I would say. And how do I cancel off these bad dreams from me, right? That is happening to you. So this is how we, kind of go through this process of meditation.
Sometimes I wonder if the mantras and entire concept of mantra was actually similar to the New Age concept of affirmations. Is that so?
New age of?
New Age of affirmations,
Yes. In a way, it is positive affirmations. Yes, we can say, like you can say the word, I believe, I have faith on whoever your divine is that you are saying to.
Because the
And you
concept is
say
same,
what?
in affirmations they say that you repeat this for certain times in certain number of times
Correct.
in a day, and multiple times when you're in one sitting.
108 times basically has a number, right? 1 and 0 and 8, right? Since I've learned tarot, I'll bring in a little bit of that concept as well. In the tarot, there is a concept of one being a magician who has all the access to all the 4 directions and the space, right? He's given a tool. So he's like a magician. So if you ask me if Shiva is a magician, yes, because he knows he is able to handle all of these, right? And 0 is the new beginning. And this person with a 0, he actually has this little thing on his shoulder carrying. And in that little, cloth, he will probably have all these 4 things, but he doesn't know how to use it. Only if he goes through this process, he'll know how to, control these 4 directions and also use the space for his creation to become who he should become, right?
Right.
And the 8 number is a strength. So the 1 is magician, 0 is fool, the 8 is the strength, which is basically Durga, and 8 is showing as a lady with a lion, so controlling that lion. So you're basically able to control those, emotions, your ego, all your negativities, basically. You get rid of all those negativity. You are in the space of strength. So essentially, the 9th is basically is a form of meditation. 9 is a hermit who is, looking into the divine light. He gets this vision. So you go through this meditation process, basically. So it's a very interesting process, when you go through. And this tarot only came at a later century, right? But these elements have always been there in Hinduism, always. So essentially, they have just depicted it into a, a more modern way of describing. But with the tarot, you can also actually, read about somebody, right?
Right.
So you can read about the future and all of that. Just like how astrology, based on the houses, they can read about your future, your past, your present, etc. Same likewise, the tarot does the past, present, future. So 108 times, basically it's 9, number 9. When you reduce it to 9, right? So when you reduce 9, there is 3, 3, and 3. Basically, vibration of 3 times, another 3 times, and another 3 times. So you see the concept of this numbering also, right? So when you do your affirmation or your mantra, it's repeated the number of times. The frequency helps to create that vibration and energy within you. And this is not something Nikola Tesla actually found out. He actually met Swami Vivekananda during that time. So I believe Swami Vivekananda would have exchanged his knowledge or wisdom at that time. So that's how probably he came to know about this vibration, frequency, and energy. But this always been our Hinduism concept, which we never reclaimed, right? It is our spiritual inheritance. We have to reclaim this. It is ours. We have to claim it. And by saying so, you can actually, you're sending positive vibration to the universe or to your divine or to your higher self. And the positive things comes back automatically. And you will see that you will be able to receive the next news or the next day or things that is happening to you automatically. You will start seeing changes in your life, you know. That's how that 108, and you know, some people do it with the beads, right? The mantra beads that you have, that 108 beads will be there.
Right.
In my early days, I actually used it. It was creating a lot of vibrations for me, which I didn't recognize at that point in time. It was in my early days. I used to sit down in front of our home, you know, puja room, and I used to do that. At that time, I didn't know what these vibrations were, you know. But I used to study. I know it is a divine. It's not nothing negative. I know that, but it was becoming too much for me to handle at that time. So it, you know, once you get used to that process, it will help you to start, you know, cleansing. You can affirm anything that you want to get rid out of your life, your habit, your behaviors, things that are blocking your life purposes, things that are blocking your marriages, things that are blocking your businesses, etc. All that can be done through this and through your meditation. And you can also cancel your dreams that are coming to you. And that also can be done on a frequency basis, 3 times. And always give gratitude is what the New Age concept is saying. But there's, you know, and whenever we give, you know, annually, we are actually also giving thank you to our ancestors, right? We actually do that every once a year. Some people actually do it monthly. But, you know, in our family, we do it once a year to our ancestors.
I also see a lot of people actually having dedicated rooms, dedicated kind of temples, small, mini, tiny temples within their house. So does it help in healing processes for the entire, you know, family, entire, or is it good practice to have a temple, an entire dedicated room or in a form of temple? Is it good to have in within the home, or it's not, but something to avoid? What's your views on that?
It's a choice and belief, I would say, right? But once you have a proper temple in your house, you have to follow the proper ritual practices, right? You have to cleanse it, purify it, the murti that you are keeping in that particular sanctum. But in a general home, we don't keep a temple, right? We keep what we call the puja room, right? We have a small, maybe a small murti or a number of goddesses who you believe in. You can have a number of them or just one of them. It depends on you, right? You can even have the whole collective goddesses and pray to all of them, because all of them bring different knowledge, different things to you at different time frame of your life. So to me, you can pray to even Shuddhi Baba at any point in time, or you can pray to Shiva at any point in time. You can even pray, you know, to Durga at any point in time, because they are all different energies. But I also want to say that we are both made up of feminine and masculine, right? At the end of all this journey, we have to merge two of these, become one, right? If let's say I'm a feminine, I have to, you know, merge with my masculine energy, right? If you're a masculine, you have to merge with your feminine energy. It's not necessary it's your other half. Your other half will also be your soulmate or your twin flame in what is mentioned in the, it's like your Shiva Shakti, right?
Mhm.
But as an individual, to become a complete person, we have to merge with our both masculine and feminine energy, which is Shiva and Shakti, right? It's better to just have a puja room so that you can, always attend to it. A temple means that you have to have a proper way of doing it. Maybe you don't need a priest also, because, as I mentioned, you don't need a priest to do those rituals. But obviously, there will be people who will always come back and, say a lot of things. But we can ignore all of that and, just give ourselves towards the divine. I also want to touch a little bit on the shape of the different temples, right? Because in the north, you would see the temples are more curvilinear, and they are called shikara, or they are, I believe it's called shikara in the north.
Right.
And in shikara, yeah. And they are in the Himachal, it's basically in the style of katkuni. Katkuni means they can withstand earthquake. They don't have any bolts and nuts, They're just made out of wood and stone, right? Likewise, in the south, you generally find tall gopurams, and they are all in the style of pyramid, both north and south. If you go into the sanctum, sometimes you would see the formation that is like a pyramid, or you can either see a Sri Chakra model on the top of the sanctum, right? So we have to observe when you go to, because different temples will have different style. And they generally have, the gopurams, it is a pyramid. So even in the Mayan civilization, you would have seen all the temples are in pyramid style, right?
Okay.
And they follow the Aindiran concept. They follow the 5-element concept, how they have built that Mayan temples. And likewise, you look at the Cambodia is also following the 5-element concept. And yeah, and any of the temples in India, they would follow this 5 elements to make sure that they are all aligned.
So help me understand one more thing, and I have been quite curious about it for a very long time, about the design differences in the North Indian temples and then the South Indian temples. Do you see any differences? Do you see any differences in purposes and uses of behind these different design structures?
If you ask me, they are all
Especially from the
almost,
archaeological side, like since you're an archaeological healer, from that perspective, I would concern more about.
yeah. If you ask me, they all look almost similar. It's just that, the northern has a different, architectural style, whereas the south has a different architectural style. But
Right.
at the end of the day, they all follow the pyramidal structure, right? At the end, it just goes up and, it ends up like a pyramid. And some of the temples inside, the sanctum, if you go, you would see at the top of the sanctum, it shows like a Sri Chakra, right, model. I'm sure you're aware how the Sri Chakra is. It is a representation of a goddess. She's known as Tripura. So she represents the, the model of that Sri Chakra. So, and we can buy that also. It is called Spatik. It is sold in some of the, important places like in Rishikesh. They do sell the Spatik format of the Sri Chakra. You can buy it.
Okay.
It's a design element, how it has been, aligned in number of levels, and at the end will be the pinnacle. We call the top, right, where you achieve the final. It's like climbing a mountain, right? When you climb the mountain, you're at the peak of the mountain, and that's how Sri Chakra is also aligned with the geometric. And yeah, and in the south, generally they have very tall gopurams in all 4 corners of the temples. And then in the middle, you'll find a pond, and there'll be a tank, as well. And in Rishikesh, there was a temple called Bharat Mandir. And this was a temple dedicated to Vishnu. That's how the name of Rishikesh came about, from Hrishikesh, right? Hrishikesh became Rishikesh, right? And inside the temple, and next to the temple, there is a museum where they have displayed the Sri Chakra, how this Sri Chakra looks like inside the sanctum where the murti is placed or consecrated. So that's why, the temples, when you enter, this Sri Chakra has the elements that are all put together where we can actually heal ourselves through that. And in the other temple that I noticed was the Angkor Wat in Cambodia, is also very similar to Sri Chakra. And the other one was the Bakse Changkrong in Cambodia. This was very pyramidal style, 7-tier pyramid style structure, very similar to the Mayan civilization. And at the top is the murti where they have kept. But obviously the murti is no longer there anymore. But in those days, you would have been there, but it's not there anymore. So these are levels that you go through in your spiritual journey, to achieve the peak of the mountain or the peak of Sri Chakra. And how do you get there? There are only 5 steps, if you ask me, right? There are many methods that are out there in becoming enlightenment. But to me, I believe there is only 5 steps, because there are only 5 elements in our nature, right? There is water, earth, wind, fire, and space. So we have to go through these 5 elements and be able to control all of these 5 elements as well. And each of these elements represent your lower level, your second level, your third level, your fourth level, and your 5th level. At your final stage is what I mentioned, is your, becoming one with your source, as well as, becoming harmony between feminine and masculine energy, which is Shiva Shakti, right? So the very lowest bottom is basically your meditation process, your purification, your cleansing. How do you purify that? You have to let go of a lot of your habits, your things, even your physical things, you have to let go. Even if your friends don't make any sense anymore, you have to let them go. If they are taking away your time, you have to let them go. If social media is taking up a lot of your time, you have to let that go as well for a while. Till a time where you know how to utilize all of these back again. It will either come back to you in a different form, or, they don't come back at all, right? So meditation helps you to kind of go through this process, right? Then the second level is, knowing about or building on your faith, basically. First is building on your faith. If you don't have faith, you cannot, connect with the divine source, right? Who do you believe then, right? You have to have some sort of a point of contact to say, okay, I do believe in this source energy, and I believe this is my positive energy, my higher self. So I'm holding on to this, rope, like I'll never fall down from it, right? So that gives you the kind of belief that, yes, they will also heal you at the same time. They will teach you how to heal you, which I'm teaching you, basically. So how I learned it is basically they teach me how to heal myself, right? And then I'm here to now guide you, to teach you to get to the next level. Then the next level of that is your knowing who you are, who you are, how you came here. All that will become much more clearer when you have that consciousness, your awareness. And then the next level is, what is your life purpose? Today we do this job, your 9-to-5 job or any other job is because we have to pay our bills, we have to, cater foods on our table, we have a lifestyle, etc. But actually, what is your life purpose? Because we did come down here, but we have forgotten when we come down here. When we come out of the womb, we forget because the consciousness disappear, because you have to go through that lesson. You have to go through that process of understanding. And you can achieve this in this lifetime. It's not that you have to take many lifetimes to become this individual. No, you can achieve all of these, but you have to dedicate your time. The divine never asks you, you have to offer me, coins or flowers or food or anything of that sort. All they ask is for your time. That is the biggest dedication that you can give. And of course, you have to be able to do a lot of research, because when certain things come to you, a lot of downloads will start coming in when you're getting into the meditation stage. And sometimes it'll be very difficult. You don't know what that is, until you have some sort of a realization. You have to do some research and see what they are, what they mean to you, If it is something negative, you can leave it behind. If it is something good, you take it with you, right? That's the general principle. So your life purpose is basically to assist your colleague, your friends, your community, basically. That is how the ancient days always have prospered, because the king and queens always dedicated, their time and resources to making sure that everybody's happy in the community. But today there's, it's all about, getting into the competition race and, becoming somebody, getting into the money race, basically, I would say, right? Yes, money is required, but if you put money aside, there's more things to life than that, right? Once you start having those realizations and putting things on a different perspective, knowing what is priority versus what is not priority, you'll be knowing what's your next life purpose is going to be. I will also be able to tell you what your life purpose is also. Once I start, interacting with that individual, I can assist that individual to go do what they are supposed to be doing. Okay.
Right.
In the ancient days, I'm sure you would have heard that, the sages initiate their disciples, right? Just like how Ramakrishna initiated Swami Vivekananda, right? And then he went out to preach. Similarly, people can be initiated into the process, and then they take on the next baton, basically. And this is to help the community to grow together. We have to grow together. We cannot just leave behind our brothers and sisters, right? I'm referring to, brothers and sisters as to any part of the nation, right?
Right.
Any part of the nation, any part of the world, right? They live in. It doesn't matter what ethnic you're from, what background you're from, which religion, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Spirituality is about, dharma, doing good for the people, right? And everybody has to heal. We have to heal. Otherwise, our baggage will never get taken away, right? Even if we pass on, then we have to come back again. Why we have to come back? We don't need to, right? We can achieve that. We can do it here. But it is not an easy process, I would say, but still it's possible. You can have a lifestyle. You can have a good, home, good family. You can still dedicate your time to spirituality at the same time. So you start to learn to balance spirituality and physical realm. In the beginning, it'll be a little bit difficult, but it's possible. But dedication, research, and discerning, using those principles, you'll be able to get through the process. So the last stage is basically that oneness and the divine. So these are the 5. So basically, it kind of aligns with all the 5 elements that exist in our nature and universe, essentially. So basically, that is a form of a pyramid.
Right.
In a way. And that is my concept. And that's why I call my concept called Master Your Heritage Living, because it's all got to do with how we were before, which we have forgotten, which we need to reclaim back from a spiritual inheritance perspective, and then move forward in educating others, in aligning with the universe, with this healing and becoming one with the source. So the world will be in a better place, right? There will not be any greed. There will not be any money, power, or control, that we see in the world. So there will be peace. In those days, everything was peaceful, right? Until power, greediness, control came into place. That's what you saw all the different dynasties coming in, right? Even in India itself, you take. In other parts of the world was the same. The same thing was happening, right?
There's this general notion of, for those people who are struggling in their life, for example, like with mental health issues, with loss of their loved ones, people struggling with their
Yes.
financials, maybe in business, maybe personal finances. In general, the notion is that if you are struggling in a life, you go sit down in a home, try to do meditation yourself and try, and maybe you will one day, slowly, you'll find answers yourself. You'll be able to heal yourself. You'll be able to, cure your mental health issues. Now, what is that something which is like, what can be happened by, self-help way, and what cannot be helped without the guide of proper, let's say, like a guide or like a guru, what is the difference in both these practices? What people actually cannot achieve independently
A
against
guru
their
is
notion.
basically, yeah, sorry. So a guru is basically one who has the knowledge and the wisdom, right? He or she has to pass on the right knowledge. They should not keep them as a follower, if you ask me,
Right.
right? They should guide them so that they can also become the next guru to teach their community, right? But today you see the concept is guru has also slightly kind of deviated, right, from the previous ancient days. But do we need a guru all the way? I would say if you follow all the principles that a guru will teach, if you take it in the right way and apply those methodologies and principles, and then you depend on your source and the divine that you are connected with, all the answer is within you. The answers will start flowing into you directly, and you will experience that directly. Whether it's cleansing, whether it's purification, whether it's getting rid of something, whether you want to start your work, how to address your mental stress, anxiety, etc. All of that will come as an overall once you get through the methodology and principle. Once you put it in place, early
Why is it
morning
so
if you
like?
wake
So why is it so like, the people put in years and years of meditation, on their own, and they really don't see any changes, neither into their mental health issues, neither on the stress levels.
yeah,
Why so?
that's why it's so important to know the energy. You have to feel the energy. When somebody comes close to you, you know whether that energy is positive or negative energy, right? Once you are in that highest realm already at the peak, you don't have to go through meditation anymore, right? Because you're always in a conscious state. You're always in the awareness state. Even Carl Jung, he's a psychologist. He also in his Red Book, it's called the Red Book. It's a very, big book. It's heavy and big. He has described his full journey in there. It is very similar to what a sage would be going through for many years. And he has received also visions from his, the character that he mentions. I forgot the name of the character now, but definitely, yeah, it's very similar to Jesus, I believe. Yeah. And he mentions that at a point in time, he also sees meditation because there's no need for meditation because he already is in the awareness. He knows already. So basically, our soul knows. But today, our soul is very dormant. So every individual have to awaken that soul that is dormant today. What is operating today is the mind, right? Which is not an organ. where is the mind? It is what has been thrown into us to say that the existence of a mind. If you ask me, there is no mind because there is no organs called a mind, right? We only have a brain, we have thought, we have memory. These are two things, thought and memories we have, right? We can think, we can do things, right? And we know the past. Obviously, if you have visions from your divine, you have you have your future visions as well. So do you need a guru all the way? Yes and no. It depends on the individual, whether the individual has many issues to let go in their life, right? If they get through phases by phases, like step 1, step 2, step 3, 4, and 5, 5 generally, something that you don't need a guru because you're already at the state where you're already in connection with your divine. But generally, you can mix up 1, 2, 3, and 4 because you might be in a stage where you are just coming out of your education or your college, or you're just starting off your work, or you're in your mid-crisis where you're deciding to change your job because you're not happy, or you're in a state where you have a family already, but you want to make certain changes.
Right.
So you can put all of these 4 together, but the first step is really mandatory for you to get through first, because the first step will align you with the source, as well as help you get rid of some of your baggages, and also help you to purify, cleanse, and everything. But the faith is something that is you get tested. Let me talk about a little bit on the faith also, because faith is a process. You have to believe, you have to have nambike. We say nambike in Tamil. If you don't have faith, things don't move forward, right? When you have faith, things move forward very positively. So with the affirmations, it will help you to build that faith. But you know what? The divine start testing you. But you think that you are testing the divine, but actually the divine keep testing you until you may fall down as many times as you want, but you will start picking up yourself and start getting back and doing, getting through the process of believing and having the faith in the divine. Once you establish that connection and the test is over, you're done with, you're no longer in a doubt process anymore, right? When you keep doubting, that energy shifts, because we are energy. When you're in a doubt process, the energy keeps shifting and the frequency changes, right? So you have to have belief and you have to have faith. So if you want to get healed for your sicknesses or your illnesses, let's assume you have a simple headache, right? I'm just giving us very simple,
Right.
so I don't, affect any sentiments of, medical industry. But if you just want to heal your headache, you can just say, God, I believe in you. I have faith. Just heal my headache. And just, of course, sometimes you have to lie down. You have to, let them take control and, make sure that they heal you. What I mean by taking control is not physical control of your body, but, they can just appear like a ball of light and just heal you. And then the next moment you will just be healed. If you continue to keep working on the, laptop or phone, and, this technology actually takes away our energy, right? So you have to move away from technology a little bit and let the healing take place. Lying down is a good process so that they can come anytime and heal you, whether it's a sage, whether it's your god, whether it's your goddesses, whether, you whoever your Kuladeva, Kuladevi is, they can come in at any time and come in and go. But, because we are in a physical realm, we may not be able to face that energy they're coming in, because the energy will be very, very, very heavy. The light is very heavy. We cannot just see the light directly sometimes. So that's why they prefer to come during the time that your eyes are closed. I had experiences, for example, like, when I was listening to the mantra called Om Namah Shivaya. I was just listening to it, but somehow, it's also a divine play, I have to say. I just dozed off. And suddenly I hear this salangay, which is basically the anklet that you wear on your leg when you dance, when you are doing your Bharatanatyam or
Right.
any kind of classical dance, you
Right.
wear that leather anklets with the bells on it. And, the dancer is, cosmic dancer is Shiva. Of course, it can be a goddess as well, right? I'm not denying it cannot be a goddess. But to me, I was connecting with Shiva at that point in time. So obviously, when I heard this Salangay, but I could not open my eyes because they don't let you open the eyes. Even though you try very hard, you want to open your eyes and see, they don't let you because, they want you to feel that experience, that they are there, they're coming for you, they're going to be there with you. So that itself is an answer to your, question or issues or feeling that you may have at that point in time. I was just listening to that and I was just, dozing off, and I just heard that, the leg, the sound of the anklet, and then going back, back to the door. But the eyes was moving along with the sound of that salangay, which is the anklet, and moving back. But I was not able to open. But I was only able to open after he has left. So it shows that, it's possible. They are just there. It's just that in this physical realm, we are not able to see them because, they know we shouldn't be frightened because, first of all, the energy is very strong. Second, they come like, anytime they want, they can leave, right? Yeah, so these are the different levels of stages that, I will be teaching in my, mastering your heritage living. And it's all connected to the elements. I had a couple of different masters or goddesses that came in my life and, taught me different things. I did learn different scriptures. I learned Bhagavad Gita. I didn't learn it just one time. I was reading it multiple times, thousands of times, in the English format, of course. And every time I read, I interpret it, and then I go into my meditation, and then I get an answer to that interpretation that is written, that Bhagavad Gita. Likewise, I did the same thing for Bible. I read it thousands of times. I meditated. I understood what Jesus was going through. I tried to understand how Jesus became a healer, right? The healing concept that he applies is very similar to our Hinduism, right? So definitely he has been in India to study it. So he is a master healer, just like Shiva, right? And of course, Goddess Durga, goddess, you don't have to say anything, right? And they're always healing everybody because she is Shakti, right? She is our other half.
Right.
And yeah, she can be Durga or Kali or any other forms, right? Durga comes to take away the negativity. Kali also takes away negativities, right? It's just that they are shown in, all these extravaganza kind of forms. They do come with, all these goddesses comes with tools, and they do have, right, those energy. And how they have it, that is only the cosmic energy, it is within the cosmic energy. You have seen the Mahabharata, how the Mahabharata ended with Krishna using the discus, right, the chakra. And these are tools that Shiva has, right? He is the master of all these tools and technology. And likewise, you see the same tools in the goddesses as well. They have similar tools and technology with them, right? It's just that everybody calls it alien and all that. I don't believe in alien theory. Our ancestors knew how to connect with the divine, the souls, and they also achieved that level, and they are now kind of communicating or downloading this information back to us in a way that we can understand and we can start healing ourselves as well. The healing process itself is gradual. It's not overnight. If somebody's telling you that you can heal overnight, that's not true, because we have so many things from our past generations that we have to get rid of. We have to break our curses from past generation. We have to break the curses that exists in current generation that we are going through. And whatever negativity that has been put on us, or getting attached to us, all of that, we have to break through from all of that, and essentially coming out like a fire, like you see that enlightenment like a fire.
Right.
And how, yeah, that's what enlightenment is in the English term is. But basically you're going through that transformation, like undergoing through like a furnace, by meditating, cleansing, purifying. The meditation and cleansing, purifying process itself is many, many stages, right? You have to start letting go of things that doesn't deserve you anymore in your life. That you have to start with. And then forgiveness is very, very difficult for a lot of people, but it's possible. Once you start forgiving people, and you start to see a lot of transformation in yourself. And you will feel within you a light body. Your body becomes very, very light. The Buddhism call it the rainbow body, but in Hinduism, we don't have a term for it. But it's just our Atma is feeling very light from all this cleansing. Yeah.